We'll hear some great case studies in the session following on how other cities are doing this. And cities are increasingly realising that they have to have a clear brand and a clear proposition. We've been tracking what we call world-winning cities for the last 15 years through our research, and it seems to us that most major cities have established brands. They're becoming smarter in the way they think about their positioning in relation to new economic activity. They're becoming smarter in the way they think about attracting mobile talent. So most major cities have established brands. And you can actually track global winners measured in terms of economic performance over the last decade. And, rolling back 15 years, many of these would have been very surprising. Las Vegas, Dublin, UAE. Okay, Dubai's star is waning, but Qatar, Abu Dhabi, they are still growing very, very strongly indeed. Bangalore, Shanghai, all of them on the back of very interesting strategies. And if you break it down into those that are focusing on driving pure economic growth, those that are trying to differentiate by technology and technology innovation, those that are making a virtue of the sustainable development agenda and are trying to become green cities, and those that are focused on culture, with some examples there, increasingly are finding cities being very, very thoughtful about how they're going to position themselves and what is going to drive economic growth. Last, to answer the question, what does London need to do to compete? Well, I would argue that there are a handful of things that really do need to be key ingredients in the pot. The first is this whole issue of technology and infrastructure. The whole process of clustering, of creating agglomeration economies, as economists call them, is about people, it's about skills, and it's about technology and infrastructure. And the technology and infrastructure part is key. It's always fascinated me that BBC has put in place a really important bit of kit, the Ram and Ring, which is a really high-power fibre optic network that connects their own creative clusters around the country. And that's exactly the sort of thing that can confer a competitive advantage. Here in W12, again, I find it very interesting that there is a conjunction of traditional infrastructure here that actually makes that cluster of Hammersmith and City Line, Central Line, Crossrail coming in, and so on, one of the greatest capacity transport nodes in London. And if the future of development is concentrating on transport nodes, then there's a very powerful case for it to be concentrated here. But it's also about skills. It's about attracting and retaining talent. And there is a huge mobility in the creative classes. It really does worry me that we're proposing bringing in legislation that will curtail the flow, the attraction of talented people to London. I think that could be absolutely disastrous if London is to reinforce its position as a creative city. So attracting and retaining talent. Again, slightly contentious. I would argue that this isn't just about London as a whole, but because of the way agglomeration economies work, because of the way clusters work, there needs to be within London a clear focus, a focal point, a locus, if you like, for creative industries. Financial services and the clustering of that worked very, very well because it was very localised, principally in the city and in Canary Wharf. If that were dissipated all over London, then it would not have worked so well. And again, we were having a bit of a debate in the last session, absolutely fascinating. What is it about us and the need to be together, why we're here today, that kind of means that you need human warmth. You need that interaction in order to be creative. So I would argue within London, it needs a clear focus. And if you look at all the major urban developments that are proposed for the next 5 or 10 years in London, I think I'd probably lengthen the timescale out actually over the next few years given what's happened in financial markets. But if you look at all of those, there's a slight sameness to them actually. You know, they're mixed-use developments, they've got some interesting approaches to combining work and living, but there's no out-and-out proposal within that for something that really makes a virtue of London's position in creative industries. So it needs a clear focus. I also think it needs to attract and retain world-class brands around a world-class idea. And again, competing cities around the world, a lot of those strategies, because they're competing in quite small space, are looking a bit samey. So it's a really standout idea for London that will grab the attention of creative people and of the world's brands. A master plan that blends all of those ingredients, and of course we're not allowed to show anything relating to the master plan here, so I won't. And then, last of all, decisive delivery. If there is a world-class idea there, then at some point someone's got to pick it up and really drive it through. Thank you.